Hey guys, it's Alex with Hammond Watch. I'm here today with my latest purchase for the personal collection. This is a Breitling Navitimer 8. It's one of the time and date variants. This is the DLC coded version, and there was a sale run through the holidays, and I was able to pick this up for what I consider to be a pretty good price, and I thought I'd share it with you guys today. It's a pretty cool watch. The first thing I do want to touch on though before we get into the measurements is the finish. It is a DLC coating, and I see it listed a lot of places as black. This is much more a gunmetal finish. I prefer gunmetal, as it scratches and wears. I think gunmetal wears that wear a little bit better as opposed to a true black where a stainless steel scratch can be a little bit jarring. So I'm a big fan of that. It's just something I wish I had known going into it. A lot of the pictures I see make it look a little bit more kind of that true semi-gloss black finish, and it's just not the case. The sizing on this watch is phenomenal. You have a 41 millimeter case, a very nice thickness of 10.75 millimeters, so it feels extremely comfortable. The crown, which is side with a Breitling B, is 6.6 millimeters. And it's screw down, which is really nice. I always forgive Pilot and Field watches for not having a screw down crown, but when you do actually get one, it's always a nice little added bit of security. The lug tip to lug tip, you're looking at 48.25 millimeters, and then you have a lug width of 21 millimeters. That's a bit of a letdown. Obviously, you'd like to see it at 20 or 22. There are more strap options today at 21 millimeters than have been in the past, certainly, but it's always just a little bit annoying because you do get some of those very popular options taken off of the table very quickly. I love Breitling padded leather straps. This one's very soft and supple, as you would expect. It tapers from that 21 millimeters all the way down to 18, and then you're back up to 22 for the clasp, which is branded with the Breitling B as well as Breitling engraved across. I love these new clasps, kind of a contemporary shape, but I think they really do add a little bit of kind of flavor to the watch. In general, having a field watch with a traditional layout can feel kind of old. Having the DLC coating and the upgraded buckle, it just feels a little bit more contemporary than a lot of the models I'm used to seeing. You do have a screw down case back as well. You'll see kind of basic specifications around the outside as well as some identification numbers. Behind this case back is the Breitling Caliber 17. That is a slightly modified 2824. You do get hacking and hand winding. So once you unscrew the crown, you'll be able to screw it in its most engaged position and gain some power reserve, or you'll be able to pull it to the first click to adjust the date and the second to stop the seconds hand and then adjust your time, so you'll get some precise time setting. It is a COSC certified movement, so it is a chronometer. That means it has to run within -4 to +6 seconds a day. This one out of the box is running at -2. So I'm extremely happy. It has a 42-hour power reserve, and it is a 4 hertz movement, so you're getting about 8 ticks a second. So as you watch the seconds hand run, it is a very smooth sweep and extremely satisfying. And I think it really is the perfect movement for a watch like this. You don't want to make it too expensive or too fussy, and having a movement that you can service easily and is kind of tried and true, I think fits this overall aesthetic well. While we've had a few years to let it kind of simmer, I do still see complaints from people about Breitling using the Navitimer name across, models that are not traditional Navitimers, and I certainly understand. It's like Ford using the Mustang name on a electric crossover. They're taking their most popular product type and then adding the most popular branding on top of it. So I completely understand from a purist standpoint why that might bother you, but at the same time, I think what CEO Kern has done at Breitling as far as changing the design language and going a little bit more vintage inspired has really helped to revive Breitling as a brand, so I tend to give it a pass, although at times when I look at the case back, it does feel just a little bit jarring. As we move in tighter on the dial, I feel like the finish work pops extremely well. That blue AR coating does a great job of deflecting the light and allowing what does get through to get gobbled up by this flat black dial. The legibility is really next level on this piece. I'm also a huge fan of this handset. The polish work is amazing. They do a great job of kind of playing with the light and being dynamic without ever costing you legibility. And I think the links were nailed. You know, the hour hand just barely grazes each numeral. The minute hand hits the lower part of that outer minute track. And then the arrow tip seconds hand rests directly in between the inner and outer rings. And there's really nothing I would change. The darkened Breitling B is a nice touch and certainly matches the theme of the watch. And then all of the printing on the dial is just as good as can be. And I really appreciate that they kept the text minimal. You know, having just chronometer and Navitimer at 6 o'clock really do a nice job of keeping this dial clean and balanced. All things considered, I'm really pleased with the lume application. You know, I always take it a bit easy on field watches, but they really did a nice job here. Whenever you're doing a faux Tina color to your lume, you are going to sacrifice a little bit of brightness. But on this particular watch, you still get a very vivid green glow. And while it won't last to the morning, you're going to get several hours of great low light visibility with this watch. For comparison's sake, looking at a Hamilton khaki field, you know, this truly runs circles around it, and as it should, considering the price point. So here we are on my 7.5 to 7 3/4 inch wrist. And I must say, I really do love the proportions of this watch. I feel it's large enough to feel, you know, masculine and tough and really go with this overall theme. But at the same time, it doesn't feel blown up or like it's large just for the sake of being large. The nice thin profile mixed with the padded leather strap really does give it a nice secure feel on wrist. My only complaint is going to be with the length of the strap. I'm very much used to getting, you know, the 120 millimeters by 80 millimeters, and they always fit me great. This watch comes with a 175 by, 115 rather by 75. So you're giving up 10 millimeters, and what that means for me is that I am on the second to last hole, and you'll see the second little keeper here tends to fall off of the tip of the strap. Which is unfortunate, and when I center the buckle on the bottom of my wrist, the watch is way out of whack, and then obviously vice versa. If I'm wearing the watch properly, I'm a little bit off center underneath. This really doesn't affect comfort too much. It's more of an annoyance than anything, especially being a 21 millimeter strap. There aren't as many options when it comes to swapping something else in. So let's talk about the pricing. You're looking at $4,230 USD retail. And if I'm being honest, I don't think I would pay that. I love the watch, very visually pleasing, very tough and rugged. It's just once you crest that $4,000 mark, especially if you're willing to go gray market or slightly used, you get so many options that I think this would be hard to justify. That said, if you go gray market on this today, you're looking at around $2,700, which I think is completely reasonable. Now, before anyone jumps in the comment section to tell me about the latest, greatest micro brand spec monster, I understand. This isn't a value-driven brand. With some of these luxury brands, you're going to pay for the name cachet, and whether or not that matters to you is a personal choice. But I think in the grand scheme of things, when I compare this to some of the IWC models, I think this starts to look like a much better value. I was able to pick this up during a 2021 holiday sale from Joma Shop for $21.50, and couldn't be happier at that price. You know, I feel like my dollars are safe as far as if I ever wanted to sell or trade this in. I should be able to recoup most of that, and while value retention isn't really a main focus for me in my watch collecting journey, it is nice to know that you're going to be able to get that value back out of it if you ever decide to move on. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and the closer look at the Breitling Navitimer 8. If you have, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up. It really helps in YouTube's algorithm. Also consider subscribing. I put watch content out weekly at a minimum, and hope to see you in the next one.